Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Wellness and Wahala Podcast. And I have a special VIP guest today, yo. How you did?
Ade Kampe.
Yes, before we start this show, for those of you tuning in for the first time, I'm your host, Dr. Tomi, better known as Omo-Oba, and Wellness Wahala. Wahala is actually a Nigerian pidgin English word, means trouble or problem or challenge. So, in the wellness part, even though you go through Wahala, we take you through a wellness journey. And my VIP guest today, he is a jack of all trades. Do you understand? So extremely multi-talented. So I have to give him his flowers by first starting off to read his wonderful bio. Okay, y'all. Now, first of all, Biodun Abudu. So his full name is Abiodun, but we know him as Biodun Abudu, is a Rhode Island born, and I love Rhode Island. So if y'all don't know, Rhode Island is the smallest state in the US, but when I say it is not just small, but it's quality. It's one of the most favorite places I've ever visited. When I used to go on site visit to go visit different health departments, it's actually one of the best health departments in regards to infectious disease, chronic disease, cancer prevention. Is a wonderful, wonderful place. They got wonderful food, wonderful people. Hence, clock it.
Yes.
Biodun Abudu that's on this show. So he was born in Rhode Island, an author with Nigerian roots, okay, the giants of Africa, whose work explores identity, culture, and taboo topics. And the truth people often keep hidden, because we're going to dive into his new book through poetry, storytelling, and social commentary. His writing invites honest conversations about the realities many people are taught to keep private. Abudu is the author of multiple books spanning poetry, social commentary, and cultural reflection. His catalog includes titles such as Tales of My Skin, one of my favorite books, Stolen Sanity, and This Wasn't for the Public, his recent release,
Yeah.
okay? Which examines the emotional, social, and cultural experience that shape how people live, love, and navigate the world around them. He is a BookFest award-winning author, earning first place in self-help for Notes to Self, A Human's Journey, and second place in poetry for Open Letters from Within. His work has been featured in media outlets including Bella Naija, which is like the top blogging website in the Nigeria and the diaspora, and Maya Deborah and Windy City Times, along with podcast interviews here, Wellness and Wahala. He was here during the pandemic in 2020, and now with this new hantavirus, Wahala, we gonna talk about that. But the timing is perfect. And he has done literary platforms, big literary platforms exploring identity and vulnerability, public and private narrative. Abudu has participated in literary and cultural events, including BookCom, very big event, and Javits Center in New York, the Big Apple, where he's based now, the Black British Book Festival at the Barbican Center in London, UK. Okay, NYC Poetry Festival at Governor's Island, and the University of Nottingham recently, England, Black Sexual Politics Symposium, where his presentation explored public versus private identity with Black masculinity. His creative work has also expanded into spoken word, a collaborative music project, continuing his exploration of storytelling across multiple artistic mediums. Through his books and public conversations, Abudu continues to explore the complexities of human experience while engaging readers to confront the story society often tells us to keep to ourselves. So, welcome
Thank you. Thank
to
you.
the Wellness and Wahala podcast.
Thank
We got to
you.
give him his flowers.
Thank
Clock
you.
it, people. He is the best. So, Biodun Abudu, please put up your new book that is out that we're going to spotlight today. Oh,
Yes,
bam.
so this wasn't for the public.
Okay, this wasn't for the public, and it's available where?
On Amazon, Barnes and Nobles,
Yes,
Walmart, and more.
yes, and Kindle. Okay, for y'all that don't, do the physical copy, y'all tech people, that's like me. I'm like, okay, I got to read it on my phone, on my tablet. So I just downloaded it. And when I say I was blown away, even from just the beginning, the chapter, the intro was okay.
Thank you.
So we're going to get right into it.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
thank you, thank you. So let's just jump right into it, Biodun. Your books touch on identity, culture, pain, and healing. I believe this is your 11th or 12th book.
My 12th book, yes.
Your 12th book, yeah, 12.
Yeah.
Okay, so he is just the bomb.com, y'all. Okay, when I first spoke to him before, I think he was just on his second or third book,
I was
and
just on
look,
my second. Yep. Yeah.
mentioned, and now he's on his 12th book. Okay. So he is commanding authority. Even 12, the biblical number of 12, like Jesus had 12 disciples, governmental authority. He is in his leadership phase. So big kudos first
Thank
to
you.
you on 12 books. So this book touches on identity, culture, pain, healing, and truth. Many people are afraid to discuss that openly. So please, what inspired you to start writing about these hidden conversations society often avoid, these type of wahalas? Over to you.
A lot of things motivate me. Let me go back to the days when I used to go online and see come across words spoken by Wale Soyinka, and one of them that I wrote right here, I'm going to read it. Books and all forms of writing have been the objects of terror to those who seek to suppress the truth. And things like that inspired me and motivated me and kept reminded me that I have to do my part in making sure the truth is out, that is removed from under the rug, which it was swept under at first, or that it was left in the dark, but now I'm shedding light on it. So my duty, and so many of us have our own duties. You have your own duty, we have our own duties. And part of mine is to make sure that I keep writing and putting these truths in the books that are often not talked about, and people, we love the entertainment, we love the other things, but sometimes those things are not necessarily shedding light on the things that are happening, whether it's kidnapping, mental health and abuse, so many other things going on in the world around us that people have no knowledge about. And my books talk on those topics, different topics. I talk about, and even this wasn't for the public, I talk about marriage. I talk about
Mhm,
prescription versus the natural remedies. I talk
mhm.
about friendship. I talk about suicide rates within teenagers and so much more. These are heavy, heavy topics that are often not talked about. And through the online platforms, through the books, through the music, we are all doing our own duties to make sure these topics are being talked about.
Yes. So, and that's why I just love you because, especially in our Nigerian culture and our community, a lot of people, they're suffering and smiling. They don't want to talk about the different wahalas and things that people experience because, they don't want to be looked down on like, oh, she got issues or she got mental health problems or she's going through these challenges. And everybody goes through some type of wahala challenge. So,
Mhm.
and it's healing because when you talk about it, somebody else that's going through it and going through that process, they can say, oh, wow, Biondu, I can relate with that book. And now, I have motivation. I am empowered that I can make it through. So you turn a negative wahala into a wellness journey through your wonderful book. So, I just want to say big kudos to you on that. So that takes me to my next question is, as an author with Nigerian roots, growing up in America, how has your cultural background shaped your storytelling, creativity, and personal wellness journey? Because it is not talked about often in our community, both in Nigeria and even in the diaspora here. So over to you.
You know, I'm so appreciative that my parents took me back home. Even though I was born here, but they took me back home to do boarding school. And there's boarding school, there's day school students,
Yes.
and I always preferred boarding schools because I feel like I could learn so much from my classmates. We're all in that space, we're all in that dormitory day in, day out, learning from each other, learning from people's personalities, characteristics, likes and dislikes, even backgrounds, even though we're from Nigeria, there's Hausa, Igbo, Yoruba. and so
Mhm.
much more. People flew in from the UK to even school there. You learn so much from everyone that's in that place. And those are the things that I held with me, even when I moved to Chicago, that I was able to still use in my day-to-day life to survive, to tell myself that it's okay, that healing has no time limit and healing is a personal journey. Back home we prayed a lot. We also would go talk to our aunties, our uncles, our mothers, our fathers, our brothers, our sisters. So knowing that there was always a community there for me to speak to is something that I always took with me. Even when I was in school in Chicago, there was always someone that I could call, vent, and get it out versus and it's not anyone's fault, but versus people that will just have the outburst and sometimes it leads to them hurting someone else. But for me, those things that I did personally was to call someone to vent, and all those things I learned from back home, I brought them here with me. And I'm going to use, I know lately I was reading about the cell phone, they call it cell phone addiction. For me, I don't think I have that because growing up in Nigeria, we were outside in the compound.
Yes,
We would
sir.
draw, I forgot the name of the game, but we would draw this big square, and then the
But
square had
I think
different.
hopscotch, like yes,
Yes, yes.
yes,
And then you have the stone, you have to hop and it doesn't fall and
yes.
all of that. So those we have so many activities that we did outside of the electricity or the laptops or the phone. We were able to connect with each other
Mhm.
without the electronic, the distractions, the TV, the radio, none, all of that. We were able to connect with each other. So even while I'm here, I find so much joy in taking a walk. I find so much joy in sitting at a park. I don't need the cell phone to make me to get through the day. And sometimes the cell phone is unfortunately, it's a reminder of all the harsh things going on. I know you just mentioned the Hunter virus. As soon as you log online, you're seeing that, you're seeing this person went to Jamaica, the husband killed her there. It's a lot going on in the world. And I'm grateful for what I've learned back home that I've brought here to help me get through all these things that we're going through. I mean, we're working 9 to 5 just to stay alive, like some people would say.
Yes,
And
sir.
you're a lot of us are like frustrated with these jobs, but we have to still come back there because we know we have the bills, we know we have to clock in, clock out, but we still have things that we took from back home that helps us get through the day, whether it's prayer, whether it's our community, whatever it is, that's what we use to get through the day.
Ooh, thank you. And and that's why I just love, Nigeria. We know they carry lasso. We have a
Yeah.
wonderful culture, whatever religion, Nigeria, we have a lot of Christians, Muslims, even within our families, but it's not just that. As he said, it takes a village, our culture, we go out, we play, we interact with people, when somebody is down, you can pick up your phone, use technology in a good way to check up on people.
Mhm.
I just saw recently a Nollywood actor who passed away. They said he was MIA, off of social media for like 2 years. Alex and Kuba, may
Yes.
he rest in peace. But what really was sad to me is that I'm like, y'all posting all this stuff, giving him his flowers now. No, celebrate somebody when they alive. Or do you understand? As you said, call somebody, check on them, and that's like your own therapy. And then, they call and check on you. You have your village of supporters. Don't
Mhm.
post me after I'm gone. No, I mean, where were y'all 2 years ago when he went MIA? Y'all supposed to have been checking on him then. You know what I'm saying? Like I have not yet to see people recently be like, "Oh, this I just talked to him yesterday. I just talked to him last week. I just talked, like it's just really sad that especially, our people sadly in many cultures, especially here in the US, people don't even know their neighbors. But back
Mhm.
at home, you got to know your neighbor. Everybody is out there playing. We know everybody on the street. You know what I'm saying? Whether you want to or not.
Yeah, and to add to what you're saying, and I'm so glad you brought up the neighbors because I
Yes,
I know a few of my neighbors, but maybe I should know more. But back home, you could even leave your kids with your neighbor because you trusted them that much. You knew everyone in that household.
yes,
Well,
yes,
all family on that
yes,
whole strip. We all
yes.
knew who lived 3 houses away, 2 houses, who was in front of you. That's how it was.
That's how it was. But now that people are now trying to get so westernized, even
Mhm.
in our beautiful Nigerian culture, how we grew up, now people are like, oh no, you wave to your neighbor now. They're looking at you like, who are you? I'm like, what? I mean, even back when you go back to Nigeria, you go visit home, you're like, these people acting brand new. So I'm like, we should be proud of our culture. So thank you so much for touching on that because that village, that having your neighbors back is really, really important. So that leads me to my next question. Your work dives deep into emotional and social struggles. In today's world, how important is vulnerability, mental wellness, and honest conversations for both men and women? I see a lot of women opening up, but I want to take my hats off to you because being a man and being a Nigerian man, do you understand? Opening up about these vulnerable topics is really, really needed. And you are a champion in that area. So over to you.
I love that question because recently I was talking to my coworker turned very good friend now. Um, and not to, I'm sure he's okay with me sharing. When men and women are relationships and they're married and they're going through a phase where they're going heading towards divorce, a lot of the men have been taught from childhood that they are to man up, don't show emotions, don't cry, don't vent, don't talk to your neighbor. And a lot of them bottle these things up. So when they're going through divorce like that or just separation like that, they don't know how to maneuver their feelings. And I was speaking with him, and it made me think of a book, and I hope I can say this on the podcast, but there's a book called Men Don't Heal, They Hoe Around.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it's very true. A lot of
Yep.
them do not seek therapy. They don't
I
find
know
ways
a lot of
to
those I
heal.
shovels. I know a lot of them.
A lot of them don't find ways to heal, but
They
what they
don't.
do is to go around sleeping around. And I'm not saying don't have your fun, but when you're having this fun around, you're also deceiving people who approach you that they want relationship, they want to
Mhm.
date with intention, but because you want to have your fun, you say, yes, I want to give it a try. But then when it's becoming serious on the woman's end, then it becomes, oh, but I told you I just got out of a relationship. I'm not ready. It
Mhm.
turns into that. And now you're adding to the statistics of people walking around just hurt, seeking revenge, and just not willing to do the work to heal. So a lot of men really need to talk, to let their emotions out. And that could be through therapy where the person's not biased, where they don't know you and you don't feel judged. That's one of the outlets. Talk to your pastor. Talk to
Mhm.
your brother who's been in their relationship for over 20 years. How did they get through it? It's okay to talk about these things. And it's not their fault because unfortunately, in one of my chapters, Born for More Than Silence, I briefly talk about how people are silenced in fear in different ways. And one of them is childhood. They've been told as a boy, don't cry. If you cry, they slap you with the slipper, they whip you with the cable wire. You're not to show emotions. They say emotions are for women.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, that's not right. Because then you're grooming men that grow up and they're so angry internally, and as I mentioned earlier, it leads to them hurting other people. It leads to them committing suicide because there was no way for them to express their feelings because they felt expressing their feelings was showing a sign of weakness, and it's not.
Mhm. Mhm.
And for women, I'm going to touch briefly on that because I know women do. I see women do express their feelings a lot, and they're more vulnerable. But also, women too need to heal in terms of because one man hurt you doesn't mean all the men in the world are like that.
Period.
That's how you block your blessing when you have
Mhm.
that frame of mind that every man is the same, every man is a dog. That's not true. You have to go into places where you know that the caliber of men are different. You have to go there and be seen. You have to ask your friends, how did they find their, especially the ones that have been in their marriage for over 20 years. Ask them how, where, how did they find their partner? Because not all men are like that, and I know it hurts, but That's why you go to therapy. That's why you heal, so you can be ready for the next man coming into your life. He shouldn't bear the burden of what the person did before or get
Hmm.
the whiplashes and all of that because of what you've gone through before. That person is there to provide, to protect you. But if you're constantly comparing them to the person before, they're not able to do that.
Hmm.
So for men and women, it's okay to be vulnerable. And one thing I tell to people is healing is its own personal journey. There's no
Yeah.
timeline on healing. If someone is telling you to heal by tomorrow, that person is not your friend. That person doesn't love you. Take your
Hmm.
time to heal. Let
Yep.
people know that you are hurt. Express your feelings. It's okay. We're human beings. I mean, even when we pray to God, we tell Him about what's hurting us, what we need to heal from, and what we're
Hmm.
able to achieve. So it's okay. So who is the fellow man that we can't say that I've been hurt? Who is that person? Even though people are judgmental, but it's okay. There are people that are going to come out and say, you know what? They're going to raise their hand. I'm like, I've been through that. Come, let's talk about how I got through
Hmm.
my pain or my struggle. So
Hmm.
I'm hoping as people listen to this, they know that it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to call your neighbor, call your brother, call your uncle, call your dad, and let them know that as a man or a woman, that hey, I've been going through this thing, or I'm going through this thing. How did you do it? Did you ever go through this? Or point me to the nearest therapist that can help me, pray for me, or come to my house, let's talk. All of that is what adds to people's healing journey.
Ooh, look, I love that. Actually, one of my favorite scriptures is a friend that sticks closer than a brother. I love how you use an example of, your coworker and like issues of divorce. I've been through divorce. It's a very traumatic time. And, even if you don't have siblings, God put us on this earth. We have to commune and be, friends with people to get through things. And, Biodun, I mean, those were just great gems of wisdom for both men and women. But as you said, because of our society and because of our culture and men being taught, oh, no, man up, you can't show emotions. No, we're all human beings. We all go through the same, anger, sadness, and different emotions and cycles. And we just need somebody to be there, be like, look, I've been there before. You got this. And even if you haven't been there before, look, just being a listening ear, which you were, is extremely important. And speaking on how people can get out of that situation. So your book, is really, really good in regards to those things that people like to keep hidden and like to front like everything is okay when it's not. And it's okay not to be okay. You understand? So that leads me to my next question, which is just first, big kudos for being featured at the Book Fest. I mean, and getting a Book Fest award, is extremely, just commendable, especially being a new author. That is not easy. So, from Book Fest awards to global little literary festivals that you've been featured, your journey has been very inspiring to me, and I know so many authors, especially in our Nigerian and African diaspora community and Black community. How do you stay creative, grounded, and mentally balanced while navigating success and public attention? You on your 12th book, so how do you do it?
Honestly, consistency is my number one thing. And I say this because a lot of my friends know I get on their back when you say you want to do something and I call you and you haven't even started writing down the idea at least. Consistency is important because without consistency, all of these things will just crash after the next week or the next month. I have to keep producing, I have to keep writing. So every time when I get home, even if it's for 30 minutes, even if it's for 1 hour, even though most of the time
Mhm.
people see that I'm still up at 3 a.m., 4 a.m. writing the next book. Because believe it or not, all these books that we're writing, not everyone could relate to the first one, to the second one, but they may relate to that 10th one that you wrote. And that's how you get people to think about what's going on in the world, to do better, to heal. So it's my duty, like I've said before, to keep writing consistently. And even with sometimes I might post things on YouTube, on Instagram, I might get some negative comments like, why would you write that? You get some comments. Why would you write that? Who are you? Some people might say, "Oh, you're not a doctor," and I've never claimed to be a doctor. I'm just saying it from my personal experience and other people around me, what they've shared with me. You see, sometimes people are just so hell bent on what someone else has done and they come with that energy over here. So in none of my books I've ever claimed to be a doctor or this is how you should do it, but it's lived experiences personally or people that I've known. And I'm
Yes.
contributing to the world and making it a better place. And
Yes, so
yeah, so every night I write, even if I'm on a train, I'm writing. Consistency is important. And the moment you decide to write these things, you have to keep going. You can't be afraid of what the next person will say because when you live under fear, again, it goes back to us hiding these things under the rug and putting it in the dark and putting it aside. What I've learned is the more we write, the more we put into the atmosphere, the more we put online, is somebody out there in the world. It could be someone from Tanzania, Brazil, that's reading that one line and it's like, oh, this must be a sign. I can't tell you how many times where someone has DM'd me and those words hit me because it's something I was going through recently. So that's why I continue writing because it will take that one line to resonate with someone and it will stop them from committing suicide, from making
hmm
a bad decision, or just letting them know that they're not the only one. Someone else is going through it. So with all the attention, with all the all the busy schedule, I just continue making sure I'm writing, continue making sure I'm talking about these topics, and I'm doing my part in the world to make it a better place. Like no more wahala.
yes, so, and that's why I think like, you know, what you're doing is so awesome. And as you know, as I said, you stay authentic, you keep it real with the stories that you tell. You don't have to be a doctor to tell your story. Your story is your unique story, and the people that you've encountered living in different places, in the world, from Nigeria to Rhode Island to Chicago to New York. You encounter different people, different cultures, different stories that you can bring to life. Nobody has your unique journey. You have your own fingerprint. God put you in this season for such a time as this. There's no other Biodun Abudu. You understand? So, it gets, on my nerves when people be like, oh, well, they not a doctor, they not this. No, first of all, they have different, physicians, different people with different degrees. You don't have to have a degree to have a life experience. That's one. And you don't have to have a degree to be a subject matter expert in those life experience and be like, oh, I went through this and and this is how I got through it. So when people say those ignorant comments is just quite sad, because I tell people, having a degree does not mean you have common sense. You understand?
Mhm.
And actually, the most successful, richest, as far as billionaires in the world, they don't have degree. Bill Gates don't have degree. Mark Zuckerberg don't have degree. Do you understand? So degree does not equate to having wisdom. You understand?
Mhm.
So just big kudos for just the wisdom, the knowledge, and just the motivation for those people that have their unique story, because everybody has their unique story. Write it down. As you said, those times when you wake up in the middle of the night. Now we have technology where you can start writing your thoughts. You can use AI to put together your template of your chapters and everything. Like, nobody has an excuse now. This is your time to tell your story. So thank you for telling your story. My next question is, what message, would you give young Africans and diaspora creatives who are afraid to share their authentic stories because of fear, culture, or social expectation? You spoke on it a little bit earlier, but I wanted you to dig deeper on how you really conquer some of the fear. Because I know as you write, like even me, as I'm writing, like some people are like, oh, Tomi, you ain't go deeper. We want you to go deeper in this topic. And I'm like, I don't think you guys are ready. Do you understand?
Yeah.
For that level, I just gave you the icing. I didn't give you the whole cake. So how can you motivate people that are in fear to speak on certain sensitive topics? Over to you.
You know, honestly, for me, and I'm going to tell the young Africans as well, that you have to see what other people before you have done. And that's what I did as well. And I'm talking about people that are from the same country writing on heavy topics like that. how did they get through? How did they put those things out there without being harmed? And were they strategic about places they went to? Because when you're writing those topics, when you put those things out there, you have to be strategic about places that you go to for your safety. It's really, really important. So I honestly tell people to research those that have written similar topics. They've created blogs with anonymous names if you want to really be safe. And you see people's reactions to those blogs. You see if it's good or bad, you wait out before you reveal your name if you decide to. There are people who still are successful behind the pen name. There are some people that they partner up with other people that have bigger platforms and they have the backing up. Like they have people, they're invited to big platforms. So they have the backing where people have these debates and it's no longer a thing where people feel like they need to harm the next person. It's now a thing of let's just talk about the differences and still respect each other. So there are different ways with doing it, but definitely I always say research, see what other people before you have done, especially people that write or relate to you, whether it's someone that's queer, whether it's a person that's Muslim, Yoruba, Igbo, whatever it is, however you identify, see if other people, and I'm sure there's a bunch of people that have written heavy topics before you. And when you write these heavy topics, don't just write to offend. I say that because oftentimes, someone might say, "Oh, I'm Yoruba, but I'm gonna write it where it's offensive to other people." You want people to understand where you come from and how proud you are of being who you are. So those are the angles that you come for, where people read, they understand, they respect it. They may not agree with it, but they respect it because of how you delivered your context, your message. I always say don't be disrespectful in how you deliver those messages or how you deliver about how people learn about you. And putting all these ideas down because if you're living in a community where it might be dangerous to voice your opinion, you won't be there forever. So
Mhm.
write those ideas down because when you move from Lagos to Abuja now, maybe Abuja is more accepting of what you're writing, and that might be the time to now open up all these things that you've written in the diary so people can see how you think and how you view the world. So I always say write these things down and if it's two or more friends that have similar they're writers as well, you all come together and write these things into books, blogs, submit. You can submit things to newspapers or magazines. You're always asking for submissions. That's a way to test the water. Start with a pen name. Start with a ghost name, as people call
Mhm.
it. Test the waters and see people's reactions to it because your safety comes first.
Mhm.
Again, it depends on how heavy the topic is. For someone like me, I dived in my first book, Tales with My Skin.
Mhm.
It's talking about a Nigerian LGBTQ man, a Nigerian gay man, sorry, and his experience back in Nigeria and before he got here. So it couldn't get any deeper than that, like writing taboo topics like that and sharing his experience, sharing his day-to-day life and how he thought and how he maneuvered through the system, looking for love in the wrong places. When I wrote that, I knew the backlash would be there, but eventually the storm quieted down. People read
Mhm.
it where they had questions even behind the scenes. They may not ask online on Instagram in the
Mhm.
comments, but they DM you, they email you because they have questions. They're curious. And these are people that well-respected people that had those questions. So at some point, I had to release it. At some point, I had to go ahead and write it because this is for me at that moment, I told myself it was just the beginning of many taboo topics that we're not talking about. And as they say, as you write these topics, and you put it out there, you might get 80%, I'm sorry, 20% negative, but when you have 80% positive, that
Mhm.
alone motivates you to keep going on topics that people are afraid to talk about. Trust me, when you put it out there, when you get those positive feedback and people's like, wow, he really wrote this, but I've been thinking about it. I can't believe he wrote it. Or, wow, someone finally said it because we've been talking about this since last year. you start to get motivated to even put more and more out until you are now the recognized voice of that community, of your country, of the world.
Period. And I just love like the 80/20 example that you just gave. Nobody is going to love everything that you do 100%. Okay. Even family, even close friends, there's going to be a percentage where you might disagree. But as he said, another key that I really took away was being respectful in the way you deliver your story, deliver your message. I have somebody that's into like theater and like video storytelling. There's a lot of people that even have faceless, YouTube channels. You don't even know who person is behind it. They have animation. So there's some deep topics that you might not need, you might not want to show your face, or as you say, be a ghostwriter. We have the tools and technology to do it, but he said a key way of delivering it is being respectful. Not everybody is going to agree with your topic. Not everybody's going to agree with your opinion, and that's okay. But you are telling it from your firsthand experience why you have went through it, and what are the gems, and what people can learn, even if they haven't been through it. But there's lessons throughout each and every one of your books. From the first one to now. So everybody, please go out and cop. His book is widely available globally, no excuse. Amazon, Kindle, his website. I'm gonna drop all the links in the Wellness Wahala podcast overview in our profile of this episode. But I want you to leave us with, if you have any last words or quotes, and also how people can get in touch with you. I know you're on social media, your IG. You're not just an author. So this guy is multi-talented. He's an artist, he's a designer, he's wearing some of his custom items. So talk about that, please. Over to you.
Well, starting with what I'm wearing now, I have this pin
Clock
from
it.
my
Yes.
boutique. My boutique is actually called Ola Shop Ola, and Ola is like my first name, but I do prefer to use Biodun. Biodun is my middle name. So a lot of these pins are from there. I just like to add a
Nice.
little pizzazz on the blazer, on the shirts, everything I'm wearing. And then words of wisdom or something I could leave behind for people is keep writing, keep creating, and keep voicing your opinions respectfully.
Mhm.
Um, I'm learning, and I've said this in my book. This wasn't for the public, and this is what this is I'm passionate about right now. Is I have one chapter called "Born for More Than Silence," and which
Mhm.
I do want to expand into a book of its own, so that will be coming soon. That really weighs on me lately because in workplaces, childhood, and so much more relationships, a lot of people are so accustomed to you not voicing your opinion. They rather you not voice your opinion. They rather you just be quiet. And I'm going to use workplace for example. When they bring out all these new things that you're supposed to do, rules and regulations, the moment you ask a question that is very respectful, you are the problem, unfortunately.
Mhm.
That's something I could never comprehend. When people are acting a certain way and you have a respectful conversation with them behind closed door, not in front of everyone, the fact that you call them out on how they've been treating you, they consider you disrespectful, they consider you not a team player, and it's almost like they want to get rid of you. Now, I know those times could be trying and could be tough.
Mhm.
But trust me, in those moments, there are ways around it. If you have to speak to someone, speak to your HR, but carefully, because HR sometimes they're there to protect the company.
Mhm.
I always tell people document everything, put everything in writing. But what I want to say more importantly is because that experience you had in the workplace was so bad, it doesn't mean you should stop using your voice to question things respectfully, to talk
Mhm.
about topics that are hitting. You have to continue using your voice. You are put on this earth to talk so people can open their eyes, so people can, as we say, stay to be woke. We can't be woke if people are not speaking about things that have been hidden or things that are going on and we're not talking about.
Period.
We have to keep talking, using our voice in that relationship. If that man or woman is telling you to be quiet, let them speak. And plus they're not letting you speak, it's time for you to move on, unfortunately. You are not born in this earth. There was a reason why we're given this mouth and this voice to talk. You're supposed to be contributing to the topics, contributing to the world. You are not meant to just zip your lips and hide in the corner or stay in the back of the row. You are supposed to speak. Even in your culture, if you've been taught to keep quiet, let me speak, it's okay. But when you're hearing this message, you're hearing this podcast, it's a sign for you to stop, to now start being unsilent, I like to call. Read
Mm-hmm.
some words of affirmations that will motivate you. Start to question things, start to speak, but speak back respectfully. When people do things to you, put some boundaries, respectful boundary, and that goes for
Mm-hmm.
family, friends, husband, kids. It don't matter. Boundaries is a thing, and you need to put them,
Mm-hmm.
let people respect you. If you're having a very respectful conversation and someone is cutting you off, they're not letting you speak, they're using trigger words, you have to teach people how to talk to you, how to respect you. It is
Yeah.
your duty to do that. And something I learned online, as the last thing I wanted to say, is we teach people how to treat us.
Mm-hmm.
When people are so used to, and these are some people that are so used to shutting people up during the conversation, or, "Oh, stop, 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 I'm speaking," and you
Mm-hmm.
are the one speaking, you do it in a respectful way, but you have to teach people, like, please don't speak to me like that. I am not your child. We are both grown adults, and I would rather you speak to me in this tone. You have to teach people what is okay and what is not okay for you. You have to tell people, don't call me after 12 a.m. because I'm with my partner. You have to teach people, because sometimes people don't know. Like you said earlier, common sense is not common anymore. And unfortunately, you have to be the person that teaches that person so he can go and be good or be better.
Yes, so. Yes, so. Oh, that was it. When I tell you, common sense no be common, no. That was one of my greatest professor quotes. I said it ain't. And as I go older, I saw it's that. Some people they don't have it. So you have to tell them how to address you. So I just love it. So thank you for those gems of wisdom. Thank you for being my VIP guest, VIP guest, return guest
Yes.
on your 12th book. So I am so proud of you. I want to leave you with the Wellness Wahala Warrior African Proverbs for the week related to Biodun Abudu. Reader today, leader tomorrow. He is a great leader and wisdom past gold. Okay. So having wisdom is more than any riches, and he really dropped some really great gems of wisdom on this podcast. Please show them your book again. Also, my Wellness Wahala book, our both books,
Yes.
they are out. Okay, everywhere, Amazon, Kindle.
Amazon.
This wasn't for the public. Wellness Wahala gets
Yes.
it. You see his wonderful attire. Okay, I'm gonna drop the link. Also, I'm wearing my custom Wellness Wahala Warrior ID red shirt. It is sold out because on my last book opening review with my organization of African Public Health Fellows, CDC employees, we went out and I was able to bring my book and my ID read and it's sold out. So I'm so happy. So I'm going to get some more and put it on my website. But you can reach Biodun Abudu on social media, Instagram, on his website, Amazon, Kindle. Get all his book, his 12 books. You ain't got no excuses. So thank you, Biodun, once again for being a guest.
And
Over
thank
to
you
you.
so much for just allowing me to be on your platform, because a lot of us are very busy. So the fact that you took your time to be like, we got to do this, we got to talk, I am appreciative of that, because I know you're a mother, you got things going on, you're an entrepreneur, and you are very busy. I see your Instagrams, I see your postings, I see what you're doing in the community, and I'm just happy that you took some moments to talk to me on your platform, giving me the time and just continuously putting words of wisdom into me and pouring great words into me. So I'm appreciative of you. Thank you so much for the opportunity again.
Thank you, thank you. You are family. I just saw him in Chicago. We just partied for my mom's 75th birthday.
Yes.
You are just awesome. All the help before and even after all the running around. So I just give you your flowers. You know, he's not just a great artist, or entrepreneur, but he is a great friend and he is family. When I say friends that stick closer than a brother. So thank you, and I'm just so proud of you. So God bless you, and I wish you much love, blessing, and no wahala. Blessing. Thank you, thank you. Well done, well done.